And this is why we can't have nice things. Sometimes just a few a-holes ruin it for everyone. So Baldur's Gate 3, we all know how successful it was at launch. We all know how beloved it is. And a lot of people would love to see modding support for it. And Larian is working on that. But while that happens, what Larian is focused on is patching the game, releasing updates, and ensuring that everything is stable and in place before mod support can come in. It is in the works. I don't know if we have like a release window for it yet. But right now, people are expecting that with patch updates, there is a possibility that certain mods will be broken because mod support isn't official. People are kind of patchworking mods into a game that currently doesn't have official mod support. Now, there's some who don't seem to understand that or just don't seem to understand the concept that things take time. And that's why the developers of Baldur's Gate 3, the folks at Larian, are getting threats and toxicity as a result of people who are not patient on that front. Now, I understand that, people love to mod this game and that mods add a whole lot of longevity to it and a lot of cool elements. But you have to understand that with patch releases, there are possibilities of certain things getting broken, and that's kind of what happened recently. So patch 6 of Baldur's Gate 3 released recently. It did come with a fair share of bugs and issues, and so now Larian is trying to hotfix those issues and trying to ensure that the patch is stable. But along the way, the game's script extender, which is required to run the lion's share of mods, as PC Gamer reports here, was broken twice because it was broken when patch 6 released, and then when people got around it and started getting mods working again, a hotfix for patch 6 released that broke mods yet again, and that just frustrated aspects of the modding community. And look, I get it. It's frustrating to put in all this work and then discover that all that work was for naught when a hotfix comes in and ruins your work. And I get that element is frustrating, but do understand that that's just something you have to expect at this stage of Baldur's Gate 3's life cycle. Like, it's okay to be a little frustrated and to anticipate official mod support. What is not okay is to issue threats and toxic comments to developers over something like this, and this is what the director of publishing at Larian Studios emphasized in this series of tweets that reads, "We'll be talking in depth about what our mod support will look like soon. Been working on it since launch. As always, we'll discuss it in our way with our community. Threats and toxicity against our devs and community teams will only harm the conversation. Please stop that." Like, issuing those kinds of comments is not going to accelerate the process of them adding mod support. If anything, it's just going to diminish the morale of people that all this toxicity and all of these threats are directed to. It's another thing they have to be concerned about. And so if anything, you're only making it worse. You're only delaying potentially the release of mod support or making it harder for developers to make the support possible. He continues, "This is a game that went from 2 million players to way over 10 million in a very short space of time. It's a level of success that not even Larian anticipated. They expected the game to perform well, but this game blew up on a level that I don't think anyone really anticipated. So it's natural," it says here, "that the conversation becomes muddier and complex, but in order to maintain the same level of dialogue, we need people to understand that these conversations take time, and just in general, developing games, developing patches, and developing mod support is a whole journey within itself." Again, with Larian not anticipating just how successful this game was going to be, no doubt certain plans had to be shifted, and certain things, might take longer than anticipated as well. He continues, "We can't do it all without the dedicated community teams that work to untangle a giant web of noise into something we can work with for the benefit for everyone. If you truly want to know things about the game, please don't chip away at the people who connect us all and who make the developer communication possible." One of the things that Larian is being praised for is for how communicative they are and how well they're handling the community. How the reason why Baldur's Gate 3's launch was of such high quality was because throughout its early access, they maintained constant communication with the community. It consistently took that feedback seriously and implemented what worked, and it was very much a game that was developed with the community, and that can only happen when conversations and discussions are constructive both ways, both on the developers front but also on the community front. But if those waters are muddied by assholes who are going to be toxic and issue threats, it just makes it difficult for developers to communicate. And so if you want the communication to continue and for that to be as smooth as possible, this has to be a two-way street. The director of publishing continues, 99.9% of our community are the absolute best, and it's because of them, thankfully, that my community team persevere. But I suppose it was inevitable that when you have a city, a few bad eggs will start a fire. That's the thing, sure, maybe 99% of people are awesome, but 1% of millions of players players is still a lot of people, and those people are just being straight up the worst. Until then, Baldur's Gate 3 does not yet have mod support. Don't get angry at mod authors, support teams, community, or developers. Our focus is to patch the game while working on future mod support. I understand why it's frustrating, so what we all need to do is focus on that future. I don't think Larian expected the demand for mods that this game got, because, again, they did not expect to sell as many copies of this game as they did. They didn't expect the modding community to be so thriving. And so, I imagine that wasn't the top priority for this game. The top priority was to ship the best game possible. And guess how that happened? By ensuring that they had enough time to implement all the features that they wanted. They took their time with it. And so with mod support, we need to give them the same benefit. We need to give them time to implement mod support properly so that all that stuff functions well amidst this environment where, again, nobody expected this would explode to the degree that it did. And with that kind of mass success also comes this kind of double-edged sword element of there being a portion of the community, a vocal minority, who will kind of make things worse and who think that miracles can be achieved with the snap of a finger, when Larian, at the end of the day, they're just people, game developers, and things take time to make. I don't know how that is not something that is understood at this point. And it's not as if the lack of mod support currently is a surprise. They've communicated this over and over again, that they are working on mod support, but right now they want to ensure that this massive game that is so freaking complex because of all the branching paths and all of the ways all of the different systems interact, all that stuff is fully fleshed out and stable and completely curated before mod support comes in, which is fair because at the end of the day, the main experience of the game is the game itself, and the mods are sort of the cherry on top. They're working on it, but it makes sense why they want to focus on fleshing out and fixing the core game first. Like, I think that only goes without saying. I don't want a Bethesda situation where, years later and tons of ports later, Skyrim is still broken and the game still relies on modders to fix all of its main issues. They're actually fixing the game. That's a good thing, And so ensuring that they get that done before mod support comes in, if you ask me, that's a thumbs up. As much as I get that people really want that mod support now because they love modding the game, all in due time. Patience, people. And then finally, next week, I'll have a discussion about community moderation with our comms teams and restate our desire for continued closeness with our communities and updates based on when and what we can say. But we're working too hard for this to proliferate. To finish again, we can only be close if we can work close. If we cannot do that and we have to draw a distance, it'll really suck for everyone, especially us and definitely you. Please help us to work for the greater good of the millions of people who are involved and chill. He's basically saying we're trying to keep as much of an open channel as possible, but if that open channel is taken advantage of to essentially issue these awful comments and to threaten us and to just have the worst of the community just kind of ruin the conversation and forcing the developers have to maybe on some level close off this open communication because it's posing a genuine risk, yeah, that is going to suck for everyone. Again, this is just a lose-lose situation for anyone who's engaging this way. It makes development worse. It makes communication worse. It improves nothing. We all know this, and at the end of the day, there are always going to be insane, crazy people who are going to do and say insane, crazy things, and it sucks that those, few bad apples, if you will, can ruin it for so many others who are completely reasonable people. But I want to make this video to inform you guys what's going on, and also to, as a way to support Larian and let them know that tons of people are willing to be patient, and with how much goodwill you guys have won, and with how much you've proven that, you care about the community and the game, and the quality and taking your time to ensure everything releases properly, I'm all for Larian taking its time to ensure that their plan is smoothly implemented. And so, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully this will bring some positivity to the folks. But yeah, I don't know. This is a very, I think, well-put message that is both empathetic, but also very stern about the fact that communication needs to improve and that, when there are frustrations, that has to be expressed constructively. And Larian ultimately is trying its best. And hopefully in the future, communications will continue to be open and those select few psychos can be ignored and can be cast aside for the greater good of the future and the greater good of, the open communication that Larian has maintained with the community. And hopefully once mod support comes, I think, yeah, this game's gonna, the longevity of this game is going to be insane. I think we all know what mods did for the likes of Elder Scrolls and Fallout. I've no doubt the effect won't be too dissimilar for Baldur's Gate, which is a game that has already sold so many copies and may very well only sell more and continue to sell in the long term as mods become just insane in how much they expand the game's feature set and its slew of content and stories and gameplay features and campaign experiences, you name it. So I look forward to that. But until then, we must exercise patience all in due time. Or at the very least, that's one man's take. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on this stuff going on here with Larian and the toxicity and threats they've been seeing as a result of some broken mods due to recent patches and the like. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.